We apologize for the interruption and the power. We'll resume where we left. So the verse 56 of the chapter 2 we have been studying. So a person reaches a state of perfection when his mind is neither agitated by sorrow nor excited by joy. So he is the perfect human being whose mind is tranquil, peaceful, whose mind is in the state of equanimity, serenity, undisturbed by emotional variations. The emotions are there, but the emotional fluctuations are controlled by the highly developed intellect. That's why he is a perfect human being. Here again, the interpretation of this verse has produced distorted misunderstanding, distorted understanding of the state of perfection. People generally believe, critics, that the people who are in perfect human beings, they don't have emotions. It is actually totally contradictory and wrong. Critics condemn this verse on the grounds of that it inculcates callousness, care, no interest, indifferent and destroys human feelings. Fact is that human feelings are promoted, developed, expanded, and they are purified with the knowledge of Vedanta. It is actually opposite, quite contrary what the misunderstandings of the people to what exactly the verse is talking about. So the criticism on this Vedantic knowledge and this perfect human being is baseless. The destroy human feelings is not correct. It is totally foundationless. The verse does not idealize the lack of emotion. It is not that there is no emotion in the perfect human being. They have full of emotions, but your mind would still feel joy and sorrow. Even though ordinary human being to perfect human being, emotions are there. They feel emotions, they feel joy and sorrow, but your intellect would not allow the feelings of joy and sorrow to become victimize you, to make you slave, to overtake you, to overpower you, to control you. The emotions don't dictate terms. You control the emotions. You dictate the terms, not the emotions. That is a state of perfection. Your intellect has to be strong to control the emotion so that the emotions will not affect you. So, and victimize you. You would keep the emotions of your mind under the control of your discerning intellect. Intellect is so strong, you keep the mind under the perfect control of your intellect. Just as the banks of the river, the water is in the river, when the water is more and more and it grows uncontrollably, it breaks the barriers and inundates and floods the neighboring crops and destroys the cultivation, and there is no grains for the people, productivity. Whereas the strong banks, there is a strong banks are there where the water is irrigated, channelized, guided properly, and the water is streamlined to the neighboring crops of that fields, then the water will be helpful and beneficial for productivity of the crops. This is the way the intellect is strong. The emotions will be under the perfect guidance and control of the intellect, and they will be blessing. If the emotions are not under control, it will be a disaster and it will destroy the human beings. This is what the discerning intellect has, the power of the perfect human being. In other words, you would have emotions, you entertain emotions, you entertain feelings, you experience emotions, you experience feelings, but you never allow them, never let them control you, never allow them overtake you. That means you can never become emotional. Emotions are virtue. Emotional is a weakness. passions are good, but becoming passionate is a slavery to the passion. Sentiments are virtuous. You can allow them. You can enjoy them. Sentiments. Nothing wrong with the sentiments. But becoming sentimental, it is an asylum. You become slave, become victim. So here is that he is trying to tell us that, in other words, you would have emotions but never turn emotional. Emotionalism destroys your balance and poise. You becoming emotional, it destroys your decision making, your intellect, your balance, your poise, your cool will be lost. To have emotions is a virtue, but to allow your emotions to interfere with your intellectual discretion and judgment would prove fatal, would prove detrimental. Your emotions, your awareness of this, and not allow them to control your personality, it is a spiritual weakness. So weakness is not under control of the emotions. If you are not controlling emotions, it becomes a spiritual weakness. So to have emotions is a virtue, but to allow your emotions to interfere with your intellectual judgment and discretion and awareness, it is a spiritual weakness. So you must always make the emotions under the perfect control of your intellect to be a perfect human being. The verse indicates a perfection as absolute tranquility. A perfection is defined as a absolute calmness and tranquility of the mind, ever unaffected by any kind of a joyous or grievous emotions. So any type of emotion can come and you can encounter, but you will not be affected. You experience joy and sorrow, but you are not affected by them. That is the power of perfect human being. Where is such a human being? Every human being today is a slave to emotions, victim of the emotions, and get controlled by the emotions and suffering because of lack of strong intellect. So intellect is strong, you will be able to get the control over your emotions. So this is the perfect human being's first condition. Next condition is free from desire, fear, and anger. So a perfect human being, see, a mind is the seat of emotions, feelings. So all the emotions and feelings springing from the mind, manasu. One is freed from desire, fear, and anger, experiences this state of mental equanimity. So without the development of the intellect, the mind cannot be peaceful and calm. So the development of the intellect and peace of the mind you will achieve only when you are free from the desire, because the desire is the source or seat of emotions. So one is freed from desire, fear, and anger. Experience only this state of mental equanimity. Mental peace you can experience only when you are free from desire, when you are not controlled by desire. So why? Because the desire is the source, desire is the cause for the emotions to emerge. All emotions springing from the mind, feelings springing from the mind, the root cause is desire. Without desire, no emotion can come. So one develops desires. Why desires increasing? Why one develops desires? The desires are developed. Desires are created because of a sense of unfulfillment, an incompleteness, a feeling of a void within, an emptiness. When the stomach is empty, then the thought of the food will come, the thought will become desire, and you run for the kitchen for taking the food. So the desire for the food can never arise from in a person who is stomach is full, whole, complete. So he has got already eaten. He doesn't have a desire for food. So when the desire for food comes, when your stomach is empty. Similarly, when your mind is having the sense of incompleteness, a feeling of unfulfillment, a feeling of imperfection, a lacuna, an emptiness, a void, when the mind feels like a stomach feeling, a mind also feels, then there is a thoughts generated. These are the thoughts generated. Those thoughts rush towards the world to fill this emptiness felt in the mind. Those thought currents are called desires. So desires are nothing but the thought currents created by a feeling of unfulfillment, a sense of incompleteness, unfulfillment felt within. So a person who feels perfect, a person who emotionally full, he feels perfect, complete, fulfilled, entertains no desire only. There is no desire for a person who is complete, fulfilled, satisfied, perfect. He entertains no desire. It's just as when a person feels that he is full, stomach is full, there is no desire for the food. Similarly, when you are inside your mind and intellect, when you feel you are complete, you are perfect, you are fulfilled, you have no desires formation whatsoever until you reach that state of fulfillment, absolute fulfillment, which is called paripurna, which is only possible in the state of self-realization, God realization. You would be entertaining desires because you will be feeling the sense of void within. The incompleteness will be felt perennially until you reach the enlightenment. There is a void, there is emptiness, there is a lacuna, there is a sense of incompleteness, a feeling of unfulfillment, an imperfection always will be there. In the hope of filling this void, your thoughts run towards the world. In the hope of filling this void, filling this emptiness, filling this unfulfillment, your thoughts rush towards the world to fill this unfulfillment felt within. To complete the incompleteness felt within, thoughts rushing to the world. To perfect the imperfection felt within, thoughts rushing to the world. Those thought currents are called desires. There is the hope of filling this void. Your thoughts rush towards the world of objects and beings. What is the world made up of? Objects and beings. You keep collecting objects, collecting beings, collecting relationships for the fond hope of filling this void, what felt within. The desire is nothing but a indiscriminate stream of thoughts flowing from you to the object of desire. Desire is nothing but a flow of thoughts, flow of a stream of thoughts, generally indiscriminate thoughts. These thoughts rush from you to the object is called desire. Once the desire is entertained, a desire can take into several modifications. A desire can change its name and form into different modifications. What are the different modifications? So, in this verse, there are two such modifications have been described. What are the two modifications? When another object or being interrupts your flow of thoughts towards the object of desire, these deflected thought currents are called anger. Anger is one of the emotion which is created by the obstructed desire, interrupted desire, refracted desire, deflected desire is called anger. The best example is when a Tom loves Elizabeth. Tom loves Elizabeth. Tom's thoughts flowing towards Elizabeth. Tom wants to have the company of the Elizabeth. So Tom's thoughts are rushing towards Elizabeth all the time. John comes in between and tries to love the Elizabeth. Love Elizabeth. When such a interest happens, the Tom's thoughts gets deflected, refracted towards John as an anger towards the John. So the deflected, since the thoughts already towards the Elizabeth, the deflected thought current is called anger. If there is no thoughts towards the Elizabeth, there is no desire for the Elizabeth, there is no possibility of anger creation, anger modification at all in the personality. So if you cannot say angry person, don't be angry, because angry person cannot control anger. Anger can never be controlled by directly dealing with it. So how to control the anger? To control the anger, you must control the desire which is causing the anger. So source of the emotion of anger is the desire. So if you reduce the desire, your anger will be reduced. Your blood pressure and blood sugar will be reduced. So desire reduction is the anger reduction. And desire elimination is the anger elimination. You will never be angry when you don't have a desire. So the root cause of any emotion is the desire. So the desire must be under control by the intellect. So here is the two emotions have been described. One is anger, another one is fear. So what is the cause of the fear? Fear arises when you achieve success in the world, you achieve glory, you achieve name, achieve fame, achieve power. Anything from the world, once you have success and achievement, and you have objects, you have purchased a house, you have purchased a car, you got a wife and children, then you start entertaining fear of losing what you have. Fear of losing. So this is another modification. So when another object or being interrupts your flow of thoughts toward the object of desire, these deflected thought currents are called anger. When the desire is fulfilled, when you are fulfilling the desire, you begin to entertain fear of losing what you have achieved. People have fear of losing their name and fame. People have fear of losing their possessions of car, house, everything. People have fear of various varieties of things, whatever they gained, they successfully fulfilled. So once the desire is fulfilled, you develop a fear of losing what you have gained. These emotions destroy the peace of mind, destroy the intellectual clarity, destroy the steadfastness, consistency of your intellect, which is pursuing the truth. So when you are pursuing the truth, the desires are the culprit. Desires has to be under governance by the strong intellect, or else intellect can be destroyed by the minds and desires. So emotions destroy the intellectual clarity. So emotions destroy the steadfastness of your intellect in the pursuit of the truth. The sage says, therefore, a sage or a perfect human being is one whose intellect is always established, rooted, anchored, fixed on the Supreme Self within, and not allow them to get on to this body, mind, intellect and their demands and desires. He has a perfect control over the desires. So because of the establishment in the truth, rooted in the truth, a sage therefore is one who is rooted in the truth, whose intellect is rooted in the truth, free from the influence of emotions. Such a person who is established in the self, he is free from the desire, fear and anger, because there is no desire. Human being minus desire is equal to God. God plus desire is equal to human being, you and me. So your mission in life, the perfect human being is your mission. To become perfect, you have to first understand the emotions and their role, and you have to develop a strong intellect to control them, not to get affected by the emotions. That is the thing. Whose mind is never agitated. Dukhesh vanudvigna manaha. Sukheshu vigataspruha. Neither joy nor sorrow affect him. But he is not a stone. He is not a wood. He is a human being. But his intellect is strong. Therefore, he is able to keep the mind and desires under the perfect control. So the desires are controlled because of the pursuit of the truth. So until unless you have a pursuit, you have a goal of self-development or self-realization, you can't control or reduce your desires. So desires, what do the desires actually indicate? Desires are nothing but indiscriminate thought flow. Desires are nothing but indiscriminate thought flow. When the thought flow is rushing from you to the object of desire, is object of desire of the world, is a desire formating. This desire is caused because of the sense of unfulfillment, incompleteness you felt within, a void, a lacuna. That is the culprit. Since you are feeling the void, a lacuna, the desire creates. The moment you feel you are perfect, you are complete, you are full, you are already fulfilled, there is no desire formation, there is no modification of desire, which is the, what is that called? Anger and fear. So all emotions can be under control when your intellect is fixed on the self. So the perfect human being is one whose intellect is ever fixed on the supreme self and operates in the world. Therefore, his emotions are under perfect control. He is the stage of study wisdom. Study wisdom means he is established in the self. He became a perfect human being who is established in the Atman and not swayed by the emotions, because of his intellect is ever rooted in the Atman and Atman alone. So that is the 56th mantra. He whose mind is not agitated by the world, nor agitated by the suffering or excitement of the world, and freed from the desire, fear and anger, he is that person, whoever may be. It doesn't matter whether you are a male or female or Indian or Japanese or whatever nationality, whatever gender, whatever age, whatever person you are, it doesn't matter as long as you understand the formula and practice this knowledge of rooting your intellect in the self and removing these desires by the controlling of the mind under perfect guidance of the supreme truth. Then you are free from the sufferings as well as you are the perfect human being. So you are a sage of study wisdom. This is the 56th. Now we are going to study the 57th. Mantra 57 is also this description of an enlightened being, enlightened human being. What is the shloka, verse talking about? Yah sarvatra nabhisneha tattat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratisthita yah sarvatra nabhisneha tattat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratisthita. So the same formula, whoever follows this formula, he will be a perfect human being. He is not the perfection, or Bhagavad Gita is not talking about only Indians or Hindus. Any human being, any part of the world, if he fits into this formula, he will become perfect human being. Yah sarvatra. Sarvatra means all pervading, everywhere. Sarvatra means everywhere is the Sanskrit meaning. He who is everywhere, a human being who is everywhere without attachment. Abhisneha. Sneha means attachment. Abhisneha, without attachment. He who is everywhere without attachment, who having met good or evil, who having met good or evil, who is experiencing good or bad, good or evil in the world, neither rejoices nor hates. Neither rejoices nor hates. Shubha Shubham. Shubham means good, Ashubham means evil. Yes, sarvatra navisneha tat tat prapya shubhashubham abhinandati nadveshti, neither rejoices nor hates. Abhinandati, rejoices. Nadveshti, dvesha means hatred. Nadveshti, such a person, tasya prajna, such a person's wisdom is established. Who is a perfect human? Such a person is called a perfect human being. Who is everywhere, not attached to anything. Who is he who is everywhere without attachment? We have everywhere attachments and attachments and attachments. We do not know anything about detachment. A perfect human being, one who is available everywhere, travels everywhere, not stuck and lazy and tamasic, is fully dynamic, fully traveling everywhere, but with detachment, not having any attachment to any person or object or being in the world, is free from the worldly entanglements. Who having met good or evil, he is experiencing good experiences or bad experiences, neither rejoices nor hates. He will not be excited or hated. This wisdom is established. We are going to study what does it exactly mean. The Lord describes the nature of an enlightened soul in this verse 55. We have covered the description, nature, and in the 56, what is inside him, explains the state of inner personality. In this verse, he states the behavior of the man of perfection in the world. How he conducts, what is his behavior with the external world, he is explaining or describing here. A man of perfection, he makes contact. How he makes contact with the external objects and beings, external world. His inner personality is established in the truth with a powerful intellect controlling emotions and is free from the desires. But in the externally, what is he like? He'll stop contacting people, he'll not go anywhere, he'll not talk to anybody, he'll not be part of anything. No. He is perfect human being is one who is described how he contacts the external objects and beings. The impact of environment and happenings on him, how the world is impacting him on him. In explaining these points, Krishna answers the question, how does he walk? How does he walk? Organs of action means how does he contact the world? How does he sit means what's happening inside. When you are sitting, you are with your thoughts and your mind. When you are walking, you are contacting the world. So it is a symbolic representation of how does he behave with the external objects and beings. A perfect human being, how does he relate with the world? How does he contact? How does he behave? What is the impact of the world upon him? That is the thing we are going to understand in this verse. The preceding two verses describing a man of perfection may give you an impression that he is inactive, insensitive, because he is a strong intellect and no desires and no feelings and emotions, misunderstanding is as if he is inactive and insensitive. Krishna corrects this possible misunderstanding by the word sarvatra, means he is available everywhere, he travels everywhere, means he is reaching everywhere, means he is dynamic, all quarters. The perfect one is said to be everywhere, means active, he is not lazy at all. Active in every field. Is not that only spiritual field is active. Any field is very dynamic and active. Very much in contact with the world like anyone else. He could be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or anybody or a scientist or a politician or any kind of field. He is a perfect human being who is having dynamic life, active life in that field. Very much in contact with the world like anyone else. But with the difference between the perfect human being and the one with an average human being lies in the mode of operandum, mode of contact. The way he relates, the way he contacts with the external world, that is the difference is there. What is the difference? Both are active, both are move about. The perfect one makes contact with objects and beings only without developing any undue attachments and develop any relationships. Is detachedly he will contact. Whereas the most people develop attachments wherever they go. This is the deadly virus destroying the human beings, is the attachments to every object or being they contact. My wife, my family, my children, my city, my money, my stupidity, my habits, my life, my. This is the only thing every human being. This is what the perfect human being has, no contact and no contact in the sense, no attachment in any contact. He will be contacting everybody, active everybody, relates with everybody with the detached attitude, with the disinterested interest, with the disinterest, dispassionate passion. He will not develop any attachments to any object or beings. Whereas ordinary human being develops all sorts of attachments wherever they go, whatever they do. People all over the world live a life of extreme attachments. You can't find one person who is free from attachments to the world because they are not trained, they are not developed, they don't have a strong intellect to control their mind and emotions. So, consequently, they live a life of miserable and sorry and suffering. Any suffering you experience because of attachment, and attachment causes the sorrow and suffering and misery in life. Attachment produces sorrow and suffering. The world does not produce. So there is nothing wrong with the world, nothing wrong with the objects, nothing wrong with the beings. It is your mode of contact, the relationship with it. So the world does not produce sorrow in your life, but your wrong relationship, the attached relationship, you are indiscriminately contacting the objects and being causes sorrow and misery. The moment you drop your clinging attachment to the world, you live a life of peace and bliss. The happiness, the peace, the satisfaction, the poise, the tranquility, the capacity you will get only when you contact the world with detachment. With detachment means your intellect must control the mind not to get attached. Then only you will experience the detachment and experience the peace and bliss, or else you will be sorrow and suffering. So it is nothing to do with the world, nothing to do with the objects and beings. It is got to do with your wrong relationship, indiscriminate contacts. If you are not using your intellect and using the relationship directly with the mind you will develop an indiscriminate relationship which is called attachments, which causes the suffering and sorrow. So what is that he is guiding us? The perfect human being is one who functions in the world dynamically in every field without getting attached, because his strong intellect ever established in the truth. Therefore, his mind is never allows to any object or being. He relates with the objects, he experiences the objects, he experiences the beings, he enjoys the objects, he enjoys the being, with one difference. What is that? His detached way will function with the powerful intellect. Others are attached. So we will continue this second portion of this verse in the next class. Thank you very much. Hari Om.